Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to number 35 of the Whatnauts Reactor Corps. Today, we are doing our reactions to Loki episode 4. I'm excited to dive into this one. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa,
Hello.
how's it going?
I'm doing pretty fine today, Kyle. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm in a good mood. I don't really have a particular reason why, but I'm just like, I'm feeling good. It's a good day. It might be that Loki was phenomenal this week, but
this is a very strong one.
I am feeling good. Real quick, before we dive in to all of the Loki goodness, I want to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. So thank you, Sam, so much for helping us out and supporting us. It means a lot. We appreciate it. Thank you. I guess I also just want to shout out that we are covering the Netflix show Dark on the review show, which is all about time travel and stuff like that. So if you like the time travel stuff that is in Loki, maybe go watch Dark. Very different tone, but still time travel shenanigans that I think you would
you do
enjoy.
Get at least some characters have up to 3 versions of themselves from different timelines and universes. So
there you
enjoy
go.
that.
Lots of good time travel shenanigans. But Melissa, let's kick it off with Loki number 4.
I'm ready.
I thought this one was phenomenal. This one, like, I'm giddy with like how I was like, this is great. I love this one. Yeah, I think last week, I don't want to say I was disappointed with what we got, but it was just a slower pace, in my opinion. Yeah. It was maybe the worst of the ones that we had gotten so far.
Worst is a very relative term.
Right. Yeah, it was not bad, but it was just like, of the 3 we've gotten, I liked that one the least. But I loved this one. This is the kind of like suspense and thriller that I like. I like this stuff a lot. What did you think of number 4?
This had a lot of different emotions in it and some very fun surprises, fun twists. This got us a little bit farther than I thought we might have been in this episode. We were talking about last week's episode that just ends with Loki and Sylvie moored on this planet, and we thought, well, what's the next episode? Is it just them journeying back through space to get the TVA? We spent so much time on stuff in this episode I didn't think we'd get to yet, which was great. And I got to shout out one particular little detail, maybe missed, not missed, but like kind of left behind in the conversation because more important things are happening. But a moment of personal joy for me, we have the MCU's first canonical mention of vampires.
Actually, it was mentioned in Thor Ragnarok.
I know, but in a joke way. This is kind of also in a joke way, but it gives more serious implications.
Sure, yes, I will give you that.
This proves to us that a vampire has happened. The people have interacted with vampires. When Korg references a vampire, it's like, it's an offhand joke about like a thing you've heard of. Right, yes. This is progress, Kyle. We're making progress towards vampires.
Good stuff. Yeah, we did have that. That was exciting to hear them mention that, because we haven't heard anything about Blade yet. We know it's coming. We know Mahershala Ali is playing him, but that's it. That's all we know. So that was that. Yeah, so I actually have a couple notes that I wrote down with this. I have 6 questions / things to like maybe keep in mind here. So the first thing that I want to bring up is actually something they didn't talk about in this particular one, which is why I'm bringing it up. What happened to the bombed timeline? The sacred timeline got bombed, And it was like, this is the multiverse of madness. What is happening here? And then in this one, they showed the picture of the sacred timeline, and everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, what? That was it? She did this whole big thing
I don't know.
for nothing.
We don't know that the timeline is fine. We just know that we're looking at a different diagram than they were showing us at the end of episode 2.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
but
I'm not clear on that. I'd have to watch it again if it's like this is truly irreparable damage or this is just a nightmare for our employees. We could get it done, but everyone's going to be working around the clock, and it's just incredibly difficult for us to do.
Yeah, which I think is more of what it should be, of just like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare to fix all of this stuff. Because I think they explained it that, like, it has to, the diverging timelines has to reach a certain point for it to stick and be like, well, we're screwed now. So if they can get out there and fix it before that happens, they can stop all of that stuff. But we don't check in with that. And there is no mention of like, I've been here for 48 hours straight, just going into like all these things and fixing them. And there's no mention of that. And the next, the next time that we see that TV with the sacred timeline, there's that one timeline branching off when Loki and Sylvie are on what's the name of that one again? Lamentis
right. One.
I was about to be Lamaris? No. Lamentis. When they touch, and it seems like they have this like emotional connection and understanding there. And that one was like skyrocketing like straight up instead of like, well, it's kind of meandering and stuff. It was just like, it's going up there.
Yeah, this is definitely a problem.
And that was the only branching timeline on there.
But we don't know, like, we just don't know how that diagram works, Kyle. Maybe, like we saw in episode 2, all those branches spout off at once. Maybe we don't see them because we've moved past that. Like that line, that horizontal line.
Sure, yeah.
Right, it's a different horizontal line. They just scrubbed forward.
Yeah, but like you can, like, as much as you can say that, you can also say that that's not it. So it's just like we don't know from what they've shown us.
Sure.
It's just something happened. They must have cleaned them all up. But man, I would have liked to know more about that, because I could have sworn there would have at least been like 2 or 3 of them that like made it all the way. And it's like, well, now we're stuck with this one where everyone is zombies and this one where everyone is vampires, right? Like,
we'll get there. Yeah, I'm sure we'll check back in with like just operations at the TVA briefly. I don't know where Casey is. I hope we get to see a little bit more of that in the next 2 episodes before the show ends.
Some more Casey, yeah. Want Casey to make an appearance there. All right, so enough of that one. That one's in the past. The title of this one, I believe, is called Nexus Event, or like the Nexus Event.
Yes.
And from what we can tell from the context of this, they're talking about Sylvie's Nexus Event. And the question is, what is her Nexus Event? And they never really say what it is. Do you have thoughts or theories as to what it might be? Because what we see is the TVA employees coming to kidnap Sylvie when she's young, when she's just a child, and she's just playing with some toys. She makes mention of the Valkyries, and people are speculating with stuff with that. But we don't really know what she did, and when she finally asked, they're just like, we don't remember.
Which I like. I like that she asked that of Ravonna, and Ravonna says, I don't remember. Not in a way where it seems like she's hiding something. Ravonna is hiding many things, but it doesn't seem like that's it. It seems like maybe she legit doesn't remember, because the why is not important. It's just the what of how you do your job, how you serve the TVA. The timekeepers say go down there and prune that thing. You don't ask what it is, you just do it. So the reasoning behind it is just seems like that's insignificant. What is significant to her is that there is an aberration that needs to be resolved, and I have a job I need to finish.
Yeah. And we also know that time works differently in the TVA, and I think we actually got a good visual of that in this one. This is at least the first time that I've noticed it. But in the interrogation room there, where you see Loki and Mobius heading there, the sun is moving really fast, like on his thing. But then you can explain it's like, oh, they did multiple shoots and stuff like that, and they're just taking that take. But when like the camera will stick on him, and you'll see it like move and change, and then when it shows him again, the sun is in a different spot and all that stuff. So it's just like, it kind of reinforces that just like she could have been doing this for like 100 something years, if not more. We don't know. So yeah, it's interesting to think. I think it's something that she hasn't done yet. That's my thought. That because we do have this big old timey-wimey time loop thing that I'm wondering if it is her killing the Time Lords or like something else, right? It could be something that she does down the road that they then, whether it's the TVA or it's the Loki we know, that is like, hey, we need to make sure we stop her. And then set like back in time, like sends them, you need to go get her when she's young and just nip it in the bud there. But that's also then what like sets her on the path. And so it's just who knows.
Yeah, and I even heard a theory today on New Rockstars that maybe it's not about anything particular she would have done. Whoever's giving out these orders is like, just collect every Loki. And maybe they never came for the Loki that we've known in previous movies, because it's like, oh, that one's totally doomed. Like maybe he's the most doomed of all of them, and it's like, oh, that one's fine. But all these other ones, just grab them all. Just get every Loki.
Yeah. Speaking of New Rockstars, I watched their thing too, and I definitely got very happy when they mentioned the bootstrap paradox, because I was like, I was gonna mention that on today's episode on our thing, because they explain it in Dark, which I mentioned at the start, which you guys should go watch and go check out.
Big deal in Dark.
Yeah, and so I think that may be also what's happening with the timekeepers too. That's my theory, is that yes, they were made farther in the future and then sent back in time to appear as if they've always been there. And stuff like that. So we'll see. But yeah, it's this idea that something from the future goes back in time to kind of not undo its origin, but like if I take my phone back in time and then they learn to reverse engineer that, it's like, well, then the origin of my phone changes. But so how did I get my phone in the future? If so it is this like...
The snake eats its own tail.
Exactly.
Gobble, gobble. Yum, yum, its tail.
Yeah. Fruit salad. Yummy, yummy. As they say, right?
Snake tail. Yummy, yummy.
So yeah, I think that's an interesting thing. I think that might be still something that might come up in the final two of what is this Nexus event that started her, or started this whole thing. So something to think about and keep an eye on. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today.
Next question.
Where do people go after they get pruned?
Exactly. We had big movements in this episode. They prune poor innocent Mobius, who figures out, after Loki keys him into this, and after he steals Ravonna's steals her tempad and looks at the FMV looking footage about pruning the C20.
Yeah.
He figures out we are all variants. He's like, I had a life once. I had a family. I had a jet ski, probably. He just has him pruned immediately. It's very tragic. It's like, we're going to see him again, right? We're going to see all these people again. Like, that character's definitely too big to be removed here in episode 4.
Well, that's the thing. It's so sudden that it is a shock that, like, when it happens, it's like, no, like, I don't want that to happen right now. Like, that really sucks. And it has a very strong emotional reaction that if this is the last we saw of him, like, I would be heartbroken.
Yes.
It would suck to not get to see more of him, but that is, I guess I'm trying to say, because of the strong reaction I had, like, I'm in a sense satisfied. Like, it's not something that I didn't care about, or I was like, all right, fine. It was just like, what? No, I don't want that.
Sure.
Yeah, but up until that point, we don't know exactly what it means to get pruned. We don't know what happened. Do they go somewhere? Are they dead? Are they what's happening?
It has seemed fatal, but Loki is pruned, and we see him wake up in what looks like a post-apocalyptic version of what if the events of Avengers, the first movie, went awry. New York's destroyed. He's there, and he meets these alternate Lokis, which we got to get to. But is that something unique to him? Or is that what happens to everybody? Did Owen Wilson go somewhere? Right. Where's Mobius? Is he just on a beautiful beach?
Post-apocalyptic New York, and we just haven't
in the jet ski district.
Yeah,
it's like when everyone got dusted at the end of Infinity War. It's like they're not dead. When Peter Parker comes back, it seems like they were somewhere. They had some sort of a consciousness.
Yeah, I think that opens up a bigger debate, though. Because I don't know how much the MCU really wanted to get into the there's an afterlife just yet, right?
No, that's fine. I understand. Yeah, and that's exactly where everyone dusted to. It's something I'm curious about, but I understand if they're like, we're not getting into all that. Just accept that they kind of went away and then they're back. But the fact that we have that scenario where you think somebody's dead and they're really not, and we've got another scenario perhaps, like, I don't know, I'm just noticing parallels where it's like, that seems fatal. Oh no, I guess it's not. I guess you're in a limbo somewhere.
It's also just comics. Like that's just like they've died like 20 or 30 times, and that's what Loki says. He's like, I've died many times. Do your worst. Blah blah blah. You know.
But then, how many times do you go to like a cosmic waiting room to maybe be rejuvenated?
Does he need to do what he did at the TVA, where he has to walk in and out of the big long things?
He has to go see Juno, his caseworker.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's an interesting question. The only, we can really only guess that they disappear. we don't really know if it actually kills them. But yeah, Loki is the first one that we see wake up on the other end. So we don't know if this is what happens when they get pruned, or was this at the last second he somehow got teleported out of there or magicked out of there, or where along the lines he got picked up there. And yeah, so we don't know, because the other thing could be that it resets them, because that's what a lot of their technology does. So wouldn't this reset him to their original timeline? Would Mobius be back on his jet ski? Would we don't know, but
we don't know.
Neat to think about. Yeah, and I really
do you want to talk about those
out.
alternate? Oh, do you want to talk about those alternate Lokis?
Sure, let's go for it.
We got. It was teased that Richard E. Grant had signed on to a Marvel project. It was thoroughly believed he was going to be in Loki. Role. Yeah, perhaps as an older Loki, perhaps as whoever the man behind the curtain is, who did pulling the strings of the TVA. Perhaps he's a He Who Remains. But it was very fun to get to see him as classic Loki, comic book drawing Loki with his bright yellow leggings.
Green and yellow,
it's so fun. It's the goofiest looking outfit to put on such a serious, sinister actor. And I really look forward to seeing more of that.
Absolutely. So we got to see classic Loki, which is what he was in the credits as. Boastful Loki, which looked like he was a little bit more of a fighter, maybe a little more braggadocious, more like Thor, because he also did have a hammer.
He was holding a hammer. I wasn't even clear, because I think he wasn't wearing horns like the other ones were, and I'm like, is this one rogue Thor who is taken up with this band, or is this an alternate Loki who just takes after Thor?
Yeah. And then we also got Kid Loki, which, if you're keeping track, is another member of the Young Avengers that we have seen in these shows. We've seen 6 of them now, so they are still setting those building blocks up. And then
he's
alligator Loki. I don't know if it's a pet or
an alligator with little horns. It's great.
Loki horns. In the
of
comics,
all the animals to be, an alligator is such an excellent choice. Alligators underutilized.
Absolutely. In the comics, we do get a frog Thor, where he gets turned into a frog. So yeah, this might be a variant of Loki. It might be Kid Loki's pet, and he just happens to have I'm gonna put a little hat on you, so
they pruned me and my pet too.
Yeah. But what do you think
is a wicked witch?
What do you think is going on here in this post-apocalyptic New York with all of these Lokis?
I don't know. I wonder if there's other people in that city besides Loki, or if it's just a hellstorm. It's just this little hell loop, this limbo of exclusively Lokis in a decimated New York City. The town is only them wandering around the streets, just riding the Ferris wheel at Coney Island alone.
Yeah.
I don't know. All options are good.
Let me ask you this. Did the 3 variant Lokis that we saw at the end of this, did you get a vibe off of them that said they were evil? Did you get a vibe off of them that said they were good? Or
I don't know. We saw them for 3 heckin' seconds.
They didn't really say anything.
Right, and they're probably about the same as all the Lokis. A little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. Yeah, because Loki has such a wide variety of moods that he could be in, right? Where he does want to be helpful and be like, yeah, I will fight on the good side with you and alongside Thor and stuff. And then he's like, I kind of want to take over New York and kill millions of people and stuff like that. He has all sorts of stuff. So I'm wondering if classic Loki is maybe also a little bit more not just his costume, but is more of like, I'm gonna end up being a bad guy here. I am the classic villain Loki. But I also didn't get that vibe off of them. It seemed like they were more on the side of good, or well, not necessarily that, but on their own side against the timekeepers, or whoever is behind the curtain of the timekeepers there. And I know a lot of theories are out there with Kang the Conqueror. If Kang is in fact the one behind the timekeepers, and he is like trying to manipulate this timeline to be the perfect timeline for him, then Loki and all of his chaos and mischief and stuff like that would be a big threat to that. So yeah, if he can start getting rid of all of these Lokis, or if these Lokis can like band together and like start fighting back or creating enough chaos that Kang cannot have his curated timeline, then maybe Kang won't be a threat. But who knows? So that's kind of what I'm hoping for and leaning for, is like maybe they are fighting against Kang. That Loki is getting his rival that he can shake his fist at and be like, "Damn you, Kang!"
It was exciting that we got to see the timekeepers in some form in this episode. Yes. I think that was a fun twist, that we go to what looks like, and again, in a very Wizard of Oz fashion, we go to what looks like they could legitimately be them. And I was thinking in the back of my head, how disappointed are we going to be if like the cartoon is true? And like, no, that just is it. We'd be lying about other things, but no, there's 3 real timekeepers. They look like that. They do what the cartoon says they do. That just go into this foggy temple room with
it
them
looks like
and these
laser
thrones.
tag room. They were like, "Hey, Planet Play, can we rent out your facility
neon.
for a week?"
It's more like where Billy Batson goes to become Shazam, where Jaimon Hansu's got all those statues. I thought it was really fun to see them, and I like that they just threw a knife at one of them and his head popped off.
He got
Sylvie
snoped.
called him an android, which indicates that they have maybe their own sort of consciousness, like they're self-controlled. I was really hoping for the MCU's first animatronic. I love an animatronic. I would love if this was real Wizard of Oz style, and then they just like look past the fog in a shadowy corner, and there's like a guy there at a control panel. I love stuff like that.
So I actually looked this up because I heard an interesting theory about the mention of them being androids, and yeah, it because they were like, well, Nebula is an android, and in Endgame she was able to kind of keep track and like remember all of the timeline shenanigans and stuff like that. So maybe they said that for a reason. However, last thing I'll say is that the definition
Mr. Springer, I have a question.
The definition of an android is a robot with a human appearance.
Exactly. Nebula is a cyborg.
Yeah. So there is that. There is. It's just the idea of calling them an android, I think at the end of the day, really doesn't have a significance.
It's a slightly fancier word than robot.
Yeah. It's like, we put some thought into this. We'll call it an android.
I was here hoping it was like a Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. They've just entered like a theme park attraction.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the timekeepers are robots. They're robots.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel very Wizard of Oz. When they do Snoke the one dude and they do chop him in half and his head falls off.
This did have real Snoke vibes. Just like the two of them. I was expecting them to like fight back to back, and one of them throws their weapon to the other, and they like twirl around in slow motion, and then just demolish all these guys together. Real Last Jedi.
They almost did, but when that happens, the two remaining ones look back and then start to laugh. Like, great, that was awesome.
I love the concept that the timekeepers are not friends with each other. They don't like each other.
I like that, but they're like as jovial as that laughter was. There's like this sinister twinge behind it that is just like this. You fools! You guys thought these were real? Like,
yeah.
And so there's someone behind them. There's a man behind the curtain.
There absolutely is.
And yeah, I'm expecting Kang the Conqueror to step out and that be the actual thing there. I'm wondering if the pen with the high school name is gonna be something. I'm wondering if Renslayer has a family with Kang and she somehow got looped in there and all that stuff. Who knows? It's just there has to be someone behind there, but we don't know who it is.
Yeah. Yes. We'll get there. Another important reveal for me in this episode is that the theremin music is diegetic. That's music Renslayer is playing in her office. It's not just part of the soundtrack. Delightful. Happy to know she's a fan of theremin.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved this one. I had a blast. This I think why this show is working for me and why this one in particular was like, this is top tier MCU. I love this. For me was we've mentioned, I feel like they finally have their feet underneath them of like, okay, now we know kind of how to make a TV show and pace it out and do all of that stuff as opposed to movies. But this one also isn't relying on like big CGI effects, whether it be magic fights or big action. There has been some. Right, we didn't see the one from last week, but this show really revolves around the emotional impact and the conversations that the characters are having. The scene when Hunter B something I don't remember,
B-15.
Yeah, when she takes Sylvie back to the Rock's cart to be like, something is up here. What did you do to me? And she explains it. And we don't get to see what her reality is, but you just get to see her like reacting to the stuff that's going on in her head when she finally realizes that she had her life. She maybe had a family or something. We don't know what. That was great. That was an amazing scene. And it's stuff like that. I'm just like, give me more of that. I want the emotional moments. I want the beats that really get me involved in these characters. Because then, once you finally do that big fight scene, or you do Young Avengers, or who knows what, then it's going to be like, man, this is awesome. I'm invested. I know all these characters. I love them. I care. And yeah, I think that's what this show is. So
it excels on many things, including just great one-on-one conversations. Something we have yet to hit on. How do you feel about Loki and Sylvie being romantically linked? It seems like, because in the last episode, like they're definitely bonding with each other, but I didn't think about it in a romantic sense. but that's how Mobius sees it. And it feels like I'm watching this. I've been watching the show and I'm like, people in the audience ship this for sure. But then you get to this episode and it's like, oh, the show ships this too? Interesting.
I don't like it, but it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. It's
understandable.
It's because yeah, the idea is, holy shit, you are so egotistical. The only person you could fall in love with is yourself. And it's just like, that's Loki. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I don't like it because it does feel a little bit incestuous, but I don't know. Like, it makes sense. I know there's theories going around out there that maybe Frigga, or I don't know, I don't remember how you say her name, is maybe not her mom. And maybe so like she might have a little bit different DNA. She's not exactly like a 1-for-1. You have the same DNA.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly, but yeah, don't like it, but it's brilliant.
Right. I think it's an interesting turn to take because it is such a fan fiction-y thing to do, which I don't mean to sound disparaging about, but I don't think I've ever seen like a mainstream canonical text be like, yes, he falls in love with the alternate universe version of himself. I kind of admire how bold it is. And Tom Hiddleston sells the emotion of it very well. Like when he seems like he's about to say maybe that he loves Sylvie or he's about to confess something.
Her. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's I feel very emotionally attached during that scene between the two of them. They have great chemistry, however the show decides to use it.
Absolutely. Man, 2 more left. And in between that, Black Widow is coming out real soon here.
Yeah, right between 5 and 6.
Yeah, I know reviews are starting to come out. I've not really looked at much of them yet. I'm trying to go in as blind as I can. But yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited for all of this stuff. Lots of Marvel stuff coming back. Feels good.
It's a good time to be alive.
Indeed. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
Go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, you guys can follow us on Twitter at the Whatnauts. So go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. That wraps us up for this week for our reactions to Loki number 4. Next week, we will be back with more Loki, and I'm assuming we're gonna do a reactions to Black Widow when that
for sure
comes out. So be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, that wraps up this one. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.